Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
So if you're prepping for those master's entrance exams, really looking to boost that English vocabulary, well, you've landed in the right spot.
Mm-hmm.
Today we're digging into day 33 from the study materials. Think of this as really getting under the hood of these words.
Yeah, going beyond just memorizing definitions.
Exactly. We want you to see how these words actually work in context, how they connect. It's all about boosting that reading comprehension. Ready to jump in?
Absolutely. And what's really cool about this particular set, I think, is how many of them are linked. You know, common roots, prefixes.
Wow, the building blocks.
Right. Understanding those gives you much better feel for the meaning. It's like knowing how the engine works, not just naming the parts.
I love that analogy. Okay, let's kick off with words starting trans.
Yeah.
When you see that, what's the main idea we should latch onto?
Well, the core concept is really across or through. It points to some kind of movement, right? From one place or state to another, like a bridge, essentially.
Got it. Like a bridge. Okay, take transmit. At its core, it's about sending something across.
Mm-hmm.
We use it a lot with tech, don't we? Like movies can be transmitted over the internet. The data is literally going across the network.
Exactly. And the noun, transmission, that covers broadcasting, radio waves going across.
But also less fun, like the transmission of a virus.
Yeah.
Same idea, moving across from one person to another.
Precisely. That digital age thing you mentioned, it's really amplified that across idea. Information just zips across huge distances instantly.
It really does. Okay, next. Translate.
Hmm.
This one feels like it has two main jobs.
It does, yeah. There's the obvious one.
Languages, right?
Yeah.
Her books have been translated into 24 languages, moving words across different languages. Easy enough.
But then there's the other meaning, turning like an idea or effort into a result.
Yeah, I hope all this hard work will translate into profits. It's like bridging the gap between doing the work and seeing the outcome.
That's a great way to put it. It's bridging gaps, linguistic ones, or that conceptual space between, say, effort and result. The across adapts.
Okay, so transplant. There was a great exam sentence. Across the Atlantic came successive groups who attempted to transplant their habits and traditions to the New World.
Yeah. That's perfect. It's not just physically moving people.
No, it's trying to, plant their whole way of life in a new place.
Exactly. Embedding their culture, hoping it takes root. It really nails that idea of moving something and then establishing it somewhere else.
Which flows nicely into transport.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit more straightforward.
Probably. The noun transport is just the systems, trains, planes, automobiles, dealing with transport problems in cities.
Right. And the verb to transport is just moving stuff or people, like the environmental worries about modern transport moving goods globally.
Yeah, that example really flags the huge scale and the consequences of moving things across massive distances.
Okay. Transaction. Sounds a bit formal, maybe.
A little, but it's super common, especially in business. It's basically a deal, an exchange.
Like reducing transaction costs online, making those deals smoother?
Right, or just keeping records of your transactions with suppliers. Basic business stuff. The key is that exchange, that interaction, usually involving money or an agreement.
Makes sense. Next, transfer. This one seems versatile. Lots of meanings.
It really is. You can physically move something, like transferring a patient to another hospital.
Or it can be about change,
Yeah.
right? Like the swift transfer of power after an election. That's not physical movement in the same way.
No, it's a shift in authority. And you can also transfer, rights or responsibilities, assign them to someone else.
So the common thread is movement or shift,
Mm.
whether it's a person, power, or even something abstract like rights, moving from A to B.
Exactly that.
Okay, transparent.
Oh.
Literally clear, like transparent gems. You can see right through them.
Mm-hmm.
But the important meaning, especially for exams, is the figurative one. Easy to understand, nothing hidden.
Yes, like that AI example decisions need to be explainable, transparent, and fair. We need to see how they work.
Yeah, no hidden stuff, no obscure processes. If it's transparent, you can see the reasoning. That's crucial nowadays.
Absolutely vital.
Okay, then transit. This feels very focused on the act of moving through something.
It is. Like insurance covering transit by air, sea, or rail. It covers that journey, period.
Or a ship transiting the Gulf of Mexico. It's in the process of passing through.
Right. And that connects nicely to transition, doesn't it? Which is more about the overall change or shift, like energy transitions.
Ah, good point. So transit is the passage, the act of going through, and transition is the bigger picture, the period of change often involving that passage.
Nicely put. One often involves the other.
Now, transient. This would mean short-lived.
Exactly. Lasting only a short time. Impermanent.
The example about transient investors hurting long-term growth, that shows the downside, right? That short-term focus.
Definitely. Or you could talk about a transient job, just something temporary. Fleeting is the key idea.
Gotcha. And the last trans word, opaque. The opposite of transparent.
Right. Literally not clear, you can't see through it.
But figuratively, it's difficult to understand. Like when someone uses loads of jargon and their point is just opaque.
Yeah, you hit a wall, it can feel like they're deliberately making it hard to grasp.
Okay, let's switch gears. Moving on to words with miss or mit. What's the core idea here?
Well, the root mit comes from Latin, mitter, meaning to send. And miss can sometimes modify that, maybe suggesting sending wrongly or just intensify it.
Okay, to send. Let's start with dismiss, sending away.
Can be. Like dismissing someone from a job, sending them away, hence dismissal.
That bus driver example, victims calling for his dismissal. Pretty clear.
Yeah. But it can also mean rejecting an idea, like sending it away from your thoughts. Don't dismiss that possibility.
So literal sending away or figurative sending away from consideration.
Exactly.
Okay, admit.
Couple of main senses here, too. There's confessing or acknowledging something.
Like parents finally admitting a marriage they kept secret. Owning up to it.
Right. And then there's allowing entry. Admission to the museum is by ticket. Letting someone in.
And that example, needing to admit good arguments by opponents, that fits the first meaning. Right. Acknowledging the other side has a point.
Absolutely. It's acknowledging validity. And admission itself can be the entry ticket, or like a resignation being an admission of guilt.
Interesting how both involve acceptance, accepting a truth, or accepting someone into a place.
That's a sharp point. Yeah.
What about summit?
Two main meanings. The top of a mountain, the highest point.
Reaching the summit. Got it.
And also a high-level meeting, a summit conference between leaders, also the top level.
So reaching the peak, literally or figuratively.
Precisely. The apex.
Okay, submit. This is like presenting something.
Often, yes. Submitting your resignation or researchers submitting findings to a journal, you're putting it forward for consideration.
But can also mean yielding, giving in.
It can. Yielding to authority, that leads to submission and submissive. It involves placing yourself or your work under someone else's review or power.
Right. Okay. Missile. Feels pretty straightforward.
Yeah, basically a weapon that's sent somewhere.
A projectile.
Designed to be sent flying at a target. The example of it falling short just shows its basic function.
Yep. Sent towards a specific point.
Then mission. This has a few flavors.
It does. An important task or goal.
Yeah.
Like your personal mission is to ace this exam.
Hopefully. Or it could be military, right? A rescue mission?
Or religious outreach. A mission to spread faith.
So what connects them? A specific purpose, a goal.
Exactly. A significant undertaking with a clear aim.
And that leads to missionary.
Right. The person sent out on that religious mission. Someone serving as a missionary somewhere.
Okay. Emit, sending out.
Yes, sending out or releasing.
Oh, right.
Like microwaves emitting CO2, apparently.
Who knew? And the example is crucial forests potentially emitting more carbon than they absorb because of climate change. And the noun emission. Yeah, that's a huge environmental concept. Emit is all about that outward release, gas, light, energy.
And its opposite, omit.
Means to leave out, intentionally not include something.
Like the diet advice.
Right.
Nothing healthful should be omitted. Don't leave it out. And the noun is omission.
Right. Emit is sending out. Omit is leaving out.
Got it. Permit. Noun and verb.
Yep. Noun is permission. Verb is to allow. She was permitted to leave early.
And related words. Permission, obviously, and permissive, meaning someone who allows a lot.
Yeah.
Granting authorization.
Exactly.
Intermittent. This means stopping and starting. Irregular.
That's it. Occurring at irregular intervals, like workers employed intermittently, not continuously.
Sporadic. Not constant.
Precisely.
Commit. Another one with a split personality.
Sort of. It can mean doing something wrong, like committing an error or a crime.
Pointing out errors someone has committed.
Or it can mean pledging yourself, dedicating yourself, like waiting to commit to a treaty, making a firm promise. And the noun is commitment.
So doing something, often bad, or pledging to something, usually serious.
That's a good way to summarize it.
Okay, committee.
A group, right.
A group appointed for a specific job, like an admissions committee deciding on applications based on essays.
And you can have smaller ones, subcommittees,
Right.
focused on a particular task.
Right. Task-oriented groups.
And the last one in this group, commission.
This can be a body of people officially appointed, like the Federal Trade Commission in the example, looking into newspaper industry issues.
Okay, like a formal committee, almost.
Sometimes. Or it can be the act of entrusting someone with a task, giving them a commission. The core idea is being tasked with a specific function or duty.
Got it. Tasked with something. Okay, final group. Words related to, well, killing. A bit grim.
A bit, yeah. But the connection can be direct or sometimes more metaphorical, ending or eliminating something.
Okay, first, suicide. Intentionally ending one's own life.
Sadly, yes. But then there's the figurative use, like political suicide.
Right, doing something that completely wrecks your political career. Ends it.
Exactly. Even figuratively, it keeps that sense of self-inflicted destruction.
Then pesticide. Much more direct.
Very direct. A substance used to kill pests, like insects on crops. The -icide suffix means killing.
Clear link. Okay, now precise. How does this fit? Seems different.
Well, think about it. To be precise is to be exact, accurate. You're eliminating error, cutting out ambiguity.
Ah, so you're sort of killing the mistakes and the vagueness, aiming for dead-on accuracy.
That's one way to think about it. You want a sharp, clear definition, eliminating the fuzziness.
Interesting connection. Okay, what about concise? Brief and clear.
Similar idea, maybe. You're cutting out unnecessary words, killing the fluff to get to the point.
Like the advice. Make your answers clear and concise.
Cut the waffle.
And the adverb, concisely.
Right. Eliminating redundancy for impact and clarity. Efficiency.
And lastly, subtle. Delicate, not obvious.
Like that example of subtle peer pressure. It's hidden, not overt.
So it's like, it avoids being obvious. It almost kills its own obviousness to work underneath.
That's a fascinating take. It operates in a more nuanced way, avoiding the direct approach. You need perception to even notice it. And we have subtly and subtlety.
Wow, okay. That wraps up our deep dive into the day 33 words. We've gone across with trans, said things with emit, and even looked at eliminating things with ecocide and related ideas.
And hopefully what you're really seeing is how these parts, the prefixes, the roots, and the context all work together.
Yeah, it's not just lists of words.
No. By seeing the connections, especially in those examples, you build a vocabulary that's much more flexible, more robust. You start to understand the language's mechanics.
Totally. So the takeaway for you listening is actively use these words. Try weaving them into your notes, your summaries, your discussions.
Don't just passively review, engage with them. And you can always loop back to this discussion for a refresher.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And maybe something to think about as you keep studying. How does really paying attention to these word parts, these nuances, change how you read? Does it help you unlock the logic of those complex academic texts, not just the individual words?
Ooh, good question. Because that skill, understanding the deeper structure and meaning, that goes way beyond just passing the exam. It's about critical reading.
Exactly. Something to mull over. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Keep up the great work.